No Flaws by RedRix. Upon leaving the maze, I teleported the kids back to the kingdom of Ingrassia, and after briefing Yuki about them, I came back to the labyrinth to take Ramirez to Tempest. "You are late." That was the first thing I heard from her as soon as I teleported back to Ramirez. "Enough of that. You want to go to Tempest and get a job or not?" I threatened her. "Yes, sir," she said with a salute. "But what will I be doing anyways? And would you be giving me an allowance as well? If you will, then do you really mean that?" the fairy asked. "Oh yay, that," I said as I remembered that I didn't even tell her what she would be doing. "Well, to keep things short, your labyrinth can also function as a dungeon, right?" "Yay. A labyrinth is basically a dungeon in a sense. Anyways, what are you trying to say?" "So I was thinking that you could build a dungeon in my town, which in turn will attract adventurers. Since the establishment of my country, the threat of monsters has subsided in the nearby area, so the adventurers would look for new jobs, and this labyrinth will provide them with job opportunities and also help promote my nation. Alongside that, you would also be able to get a new and better place to live in along with a high-paying job." By the time I finished my explanation, she was staring at me with sparkling eyes, while Beretta was praising me for my ability to see that far ahead into the future. "What are we waiting for now? Let's go to Tempest," Ramirez boldly declared. "Okay then, brace yourselves since I will teleport us in a second." Just like that, I arrived in my house. After I arrived, I informed Shuna about me and Ramirez, then headed straight towards the Colosseum. After we reached our destination, Ramirez began her work, since she had been briefed on how I wanted the finished structure to be. She had only created the first floor when Trainee appeared, and after some talking she asked me if she could serve Ramirez, to which I agreed readily. "Ramirez, I think I should bring back your true form. Don't you think it would be much easier to build and maintain the labyrinth that way?" I inquired. "It would be way easier and faster, but can you really do that, Rimuru?" she asked. "No need to doubt me. I can do anything," I proudly proclaimed. "Well, it would have sounded like boasting if that was said by someone else, but I will believe you." "You should not believe just about anyone." I was about to say that, but I refrained from doing that. "Okay, then I will be starting the process. I will be counting on you, Seal." "Less than leave it to me, Master." Greater than with the confirmation received, I channeled Turn Null through Ramirez. As I was channeling the energy of Turn Null, I sensed that Ramirez's presence gradually increased. Her soul was cleansed. All the impure magicules that she had absorbed from Guy's and Milam's battle was ejected out of her body and was absorbed by me. As the impure magicules were removed from her body, being replaced by pure energy of Turn Null, she started growing. No longer was she the aloof fairy. From this day forward, the Spirit Queen had been returned to her full glory, a dignified and divine ruler, a primordial entity who truly maintained the world's balance. Less than report, the individual Ramirez's existence value has reached 25,673,668. Along with that, a soul corridor has also been established between Master and the individual named Ramirez. The individual Beretta has also received a gift along with increase in existence value, which now reaches 1.5 million, greater than. Holy shit, that's a lot, and if I am not wrong, she should also be able to use primitive magic. That's really packing strong. No wonder she always claimed that Leon was no match for her. As she is now, she can very well be classified into the natural catastrophe class, no doubt, probably the weakest amongst the natural catastrophe class folks, but a natural catastrophe class nonetheless. That was all good, but the main problem was her appearance. Yes, even I have to admit that she was beautiful, really beautiful. Pig does not belong to me. She had the same features as compared to when she was little, but her beauty was incomparable to her tiny self. Oops, better not stare too much, ahem. Is everything okay? I asked to make sure that everything was fine and to distract myself. I have returned back to how I was in my glory days without any problem, and I am really thankful for that, Rimuru-san, she said while bowing down slightly. Her voice was so charming that for a second I thought that it was charm magic, but it was just her voice being that charming. Anyways, I need to go back to Ingrassia, so I wanted to know how long it would take to finish the labyrinth. Well, that should be finished by the night. Okay then, I will come back by midnight today for further instructions and all. Good luck on your journey then. With that, I left Tempest once again, only to return by midnight and further inform the people about the labyrinth. A few months later, nearly 5 months later to be exact. The time had come to go home. It was the day of my departure from the kingdom of Ingrassia. The kids were trying to be tough but were failing miserably. I wasn't feeling much better myself, but, I could pop on over anytime I want with spatial motion. Yuki and Kigali were also present there to say their goodbyes. Well before leaving I gave my mask, not the broken one, to Chloe. After saying the final goodbyes I left on Ranga's back. I had made sure that the events would play out nicely and exactly the same. I had been busy making preparations for the past few days. I am currently inhabiting an emulated soul, which looks exactly the same as my human form. I can even transform into my slime form, which I thought was not possible, but with some tinkering I could transform into my slime form again. My real body is currently inside my imaginary space, supplying the growth capsules of the demons with magicules. Gotta say one thing though, the black numbers under me would be the most powerful militaristic unit in the world, ever. All their bodies rivaling the sub-demon lord class in terms of physical strength, alongside a huge amount of energy already present inside them, which would greatly boost the potential of the demons. The bodies prepared for the archdemons rivaled the actual demon lord seeds class in strength, with energy surpassing the demon lord Frey. The bodies made for the 3 primordial demons were stronger than the pseudo-awakened Clayman, with the energy surpassing non-awakened Clayman. All this without them even possessing these bodies. Once they possess bodies I would naturally give them names, which will undoubtedly create a force capable of destroying the world with ease. Anyways, back onto the main topic, I will be fighting Hinata in a much weaker body, which matched her in terms of physical strength. Objectively speaking, I should be able to win because the current me completely outclasses her in terms of technique, but there is the holy barrier too, which will definitely slow down this body. And that's what I want. An extremely close fight which resulted in me losing. On the Tempest front, Benimaru, Shion, Geld, Soe, Zijin, Apito and Hakuro, along with Goblin Riders, Kurenai, a third of the yellow numbers, half of the Shadow Squad and the team Yomigari were guarding the city. The city was also protected by a barrier which cancels out any form of externally casted magic effects, including holy magic and legion magic, so no one will be weakened when the priests deploy the holy purification barrier. The other worlders would be manhandled by Shion alone, and the knights will be handled by others. One thing that is shocking to even me is the existence values of my executives. Seal had told me that their existence values in general would be much higher this time, but the results honestly completely shocked me. Some of them, such as Zijin, Shion and Benimaru, had crossed the Super Awakened mark nearly 4 months ago, along with Soe and Ranga breaking through the Super Awakened rank recently. Gabble and Geld also are really close to the Super Awakened rank. The Super Awakened rank was used to classify the people in the Tempest Federation in the last timeline. It simply implied that the person given this rank has surpassed the existence value of 2 million after being awakened, but this time they have reached this mark without even being awakened. The Falmouth army is headed towards their most devastating loss ever. In addition to that, the labyrinth is also nearly complete. The only things missing are the guardians of a few floors, which include the floors governed by the Dragon Lords, Adelman, Kumara and Gozer Mezer. Other than that, everything else has been completed. The Treants have been moved in the labyrinth. The Dryads have pledged their allegiance towards Ramirez. The Elves have pledged their allegiance towards me. And the monsters inside the labyrinth are also being spawned due to the aura that I leak there from time to time, which also doubled as an excellent training grounds for the military of my nation. Although the bodies for the demons are still placed inside my imaginary space alongside my original body, providing them magicules. As I was pondering all this, I felt myself slowly heading towards a few people in the middle of nowhere. These people here were probably ordered by Hinata to erect the holy purification barrier. I ordered Ranga to go back into my shadow as I prepared for an epic battle. Slowly I could feel a barrier envelop the entire area, and the barrier itself extended over at least a mile-long radius. The magicules had seemed to disappear from within this barrier. Normal magic sense won't even work inside this barrier. Hello. I suppose this is the first time we met. It'll be goodbye before long, though. With that greeting, a woman appeared in front of me. The women being Hinata Sakaguchi, captain of the chief knights of the Holy Imperial Guard and the leader of the paladins. I suppose it is, yes. What is it that you want from me? My name's Rimuru, but perhaps you have me confused with someone else? I acted as if I didn't know her, since I don't want to change up these events. You certainly are polite, for the lord of the monster nation. No, There's no mistake. Your town, you know. It's a bother to us. So we've decided to crush it. That's why we can't have you going home quite yet. Do you understand me? I know, and that thing pisses me off. I wanted to shout this out, but I refrained. Why are you calling me a monster at all, much less a monster lord? I'm just a regular adventurer, as you can see. Oh, playing dumb? Well, it won't work. We have an informant. I won't tell you who, but that's how we received word. We have eyes, you know, all over Ingrassia. You'd best keep your own eyes open. There's no telling who may be watching. Miss, you have been completely played by me, along with the entirety of the nation of Falmouth. Damrata, who seemed to be following Yuki's orders outside the Empire, had completely played Hinata along with the King of Falmouth. They had fallen for the bait completely, hook, line, and sinker without much effort. But I have to continue the act for some time more. So I guess you won't believe me when I say you got the wrong guy. No, I already heard the monster lord's name was Rimuru. Oh, so are you ready? Nope, but could you at least tell me your name first? Since when were monsters interested in names? It didn't matter to me, so I forgot to tell you. In that case, I am Hinata Sakaguchi, captain of the chief knights of the Holy Imperial Guard, the faithful servants of Luminous in the Holy Empire of Lubelius. I am glad to make your acquaintance, although I fear it will be a very short one. She then drew her rapier, a clear sign that the conversation was over. Silently, Hinata invoked her measurer unique skill to look him over. And the result was that she was not able to gauge him. If measurer couldn't fully gauge him, it meant Rimuru was either at her level or higher. She moved on, invoking usurper, her other unique skill and the one absolute advantage she could always enjoy over those superior to her. If the target was below Hinata in skill, the evaluation results provided were always not applicable. It meant she couldn't take that target's skills, even though that had no effect on her eventual victory. If the target was better than her, usurper could either fail or succeed. Ending with one of those results meant this was a pretty strong foe, but success meant she knew all the target's skills and arts, and if it failed, she could just try again, as many times as she wanted. No matter how formidable the foe, she could always make the skill succeed given enough tries. It was just a matter of staying on guard, buying time, and waiting for the right moment. Pull it off right, and Hinata's victory was assured. The result it returned to her was blocked. That was the second time she had seen that. The first was against Luminous Valentine. Seeing this, Hinata was impressed. She did not hesitate even after seeing the result. Ignoring the really bad premonitions that her instincts were giving her, she took out her weapon Moonlight, a legend-class blade. Protecting her was her Holy Spirit armor. It was one of the Western Holy Church's greatest countermeasures, an item wielded by the great heroes of the past, built for tackling dragons and monsters. The light shrouded Hinata, settling itself into the shape of glowing armor over her form. Now she was free of all restrictions and stronger than an enlightened, a saint in terms of force. Now, it was a clash of power against power, and she was willing to put it all on the line. She had her resolve to kill the monster that killed the only person that showed any kindness towards her, and she would not back down. Perhaps sensing the danger that I pose, Hinata equipped the Holy Spirit armor. With its help she had been freed from mortal restriction and had become a saint. But I didn't falter. I was also watching the events that were taking place in Tempest, and as I had suspected, nothing had gone wrong. The Otherworlder trio had been taken care of by Xian alone. What about the knights of the nation of Falmouth, you may ask? Well, they had met a quick demise. They were apparently unfortunate enough to have encountered Geld, Zejan and Apito near the entrance. When they entered the town, they began to attack like madmen, but were unarmed by Apito, in the literal sense of the word. All the knights had lost their arms and were imprisoned in the jail that I built for the troublemakers. And all of this happened in under less than 5 minutes, them beginning the assault to them being imprisoned. And the off-screen treatment cool. Anyways, back to my battle with Hinata. She began her assault with 7 strikes from her sword. Her speed far surpassed anything a person bounded by mortal limitations could achieve. I did not use any of my skills or magic to evade, even though I could very well use them. The reason for this was simple. I wanted a challenge. I am the type of person who would do any and everything to avoid a fight, but when it comes down to a fight, I will never back down. Although I was the person who orchestrated the whole ordeal, but that was a necessary step to ensure that the timeline is same like before. I also kept up the act as I kept telling her that I was Japanese, but it was all ignored. It was crazy, how focused she looked. No words would ever reach her brain. After we exchanged strikes a few times, I could feel this body slow down quite a bit. Hinata, instead of continuing to attack at her full speed, also slowed down. Then I noticed a bright light. Not the glint of a sword, but her entire body was covered in this bright light. I realized what it was. Hinata had been secretly preparing for a melt slash. I knew that this body of mine could not withstand this attack, so I played my last trump card. Guess I wouldn't be able to meet your little god, or should I say Demon Lord. Demon Lord Luminous Valentine. There was no stopping her now. She had unleashed melt slash with full force. She wanted to stop to question me, but in the end nothing remained of my emulated soul. From Hinata's perspective, I took on that attack head on and died without a trace while revealing the secret of Valentine. What a nuisance. How did he even know about Luminos Sama? Did someone leak this information to him while he was in Ingrasha? Were the last words she said as she laid back on the ground exhausted. The superhuman battle had lasted for nearly 15 minutes, but the damage caused by the opposing forces destroyed the area inside the barrier completely. The joint forces of Falmouth and the Temple Knights had set up a camp near the Tempest Federation on the highway to Bloomond. They numbered 20,000 in total, with the King of Falmouth and an Archbishop of the Holy Church with them. In their minds, this crusade was already a done deal. With their morals high, no one questioned their victory. These soldiers who were on their high horses were about to soon realize what the true meaning of the word monster is. The Knights could easily boast of being the mightiest military power of the Western nations, but soon they will be powerless, lowlier than a disorderly mob. All of them were about to taste their powerlessness in equal measure. When Raisin spotted the anti-magic area deployed by the enemy, he was amazed at the sheer size of it. But he paid it no further mind, instantly recognizing that it didn't matter much to them. An anti-magic area made it impossible to cast any new magic within its range, but it had no effect on things already cast. Raisin checked one more time to make sure all their defensive magic was still operational, and it was. He was a bit tensed since the Knight Captain and the elite Knights had not returned alongside the Otherworlder trio. But his worries were cut short. No, he could not worry about others. He was terrified. Terrified by the magic that was being casted upon the soldiers. How is that possible? What is that? What the hell is that? Raisin's heart was filled with fear and confusion. It was beyond his comprehension that there was such a vicious magic. 20,000 soldiers were killed in an instant. He was in range of that spell he knew, yet it was so perfectly controlled that the magic didn't even touch him. See, could it be the gravity collapse? As soon as he uttered those words, he realized just what kind of predicament he was in. He used to dismiss it as not being possible, but here he was witnessing it with his own eyes, and only one thing came into his mind. Could it be that the King of Monsters is alive? He didn't think that the captain of the Crusaders could survive against a person who can unleash this kind of magic. That kind of strategic level magic can even wipe out countries. And the other side unleashed that magic to perfection. What is that monster? He asked himself. I've never heard of such a thing. Isn't the leader of the monster nation a slime? His own heart didn't break, for the simple fact that he was so driven to save the king he was loyal to. A demon lord. The word began to enter Raisin's mind with a sense of dread that accompanied the writing. The bright red pillar that connects heaven and earth, that is, the supergravity force field, could even be seen from Tempest, and the sheer magical force needed to perform this magic could be felt from miles away. There was not just one but 5 of these supergravity force fields being unleashed at once. One on each corner of the holy barrier being casted upon capital city of Rimuru. Each one of them was being perfectly controlled by one person. Only 3 not so fortunate people survived the terror, and those 3 were allowed to live because they were useful. Rimuru, POV. After my battle with Hinata, I was teleported into my main body, which was stored inside my imaginary space. After some getting used to with my original body, I teleported directly above the invading army. I was just wondering about how these guys would die while I keep the 3 useful guys alive. Luckily, I came up with a solution rather quickly. In the past 2 millennium, I created lots and lots of spells. Some were original, Some were inspired by miscellaneous stuff, some were recreated from manga and anime, some were accidentally created, and some were just the result of merging 2 or more spells. And currently I am thinking of using a magic that was created by merging 2 different kinds of magic. My God's Eye Argos and the highly destructive Gravity Collapse were combined. With this I can remotely evoke a supergravity force field wherever I want. I had Diablo spread out my tiny slime clones all around the world. These clones are so small that they don't even take magicules to survive. The best part about it that not a single clone has been discovered or destroyed. Anyways, with those clones I can remotely evoke nearly any magic around the world. It took me only a second to completely and instantly kill the invading army. 5 bright red pillars that connected the heaven and the earth were unleashed, each containing the power to destroy a country. No human or sage can survive this. The awakened class might have a chance at surviving it, but the kingdom of Falmouth had no awakened beings. The massacre lasted for 10 seconds at most, any more and the 3 survivors would die from fear. I also cannot bring back people who died such deaths. There was a harpy that was sent here as a spy who also died from attack. I think that she was one of the 5 fingers of Clayman. Anyways, after turning the invading forces into dust, I took back the 3 survivors to Tempest on Ronga's back. Diablo had returned from his trip from hell, bringing back 11,862 demons to be exact as souvenirs for his beloved master, as certainly a way one could phrase his visit to the underworld. In the demons he brought there were the remaining 3 primordial demons, 6 of their lieutenant who were of the ruling class, and 50 archdemons ranging from the medieval species to the prehistoric species. Along them were 3 greater demons. One challenged him again and again despite sensing his monstrous aura and demon lord's hockey. 2 of them were the demons that he brought along himself when he was first summoned by his master, both being greater demons in ranking. Out of those demons 11,862 demons, 11,800 were lesser demons serving the 62 ruling class demons. The demons were badly beaten and bruised as part of their education by the devil himself. No, it was more like he obliterated his foes without mercy. Diablo had just returned with the demons because he knew that his master would be returning in few short minutes. The 3 primordial demon girls were right beside him waiting in the meeting room when they sensed massive amounts of energy being used. One of them was particularly emanating more magical energy than the others combined. Kufufufu. Looks like Rimuru-sama met the invading forces before I could get a chance at greeting them. Either way, they should be grateful that Rimuru-sama gave them a painless and quick death. Noir-chan. I mean, Diablo. I finally understand why you revere Rimuru-sama so much. Came the reply of the white primordial. What incredible power, but knowing you, that's not the only reason you revere him? That is indeed true. You will know about his true majesty when you meet him in person. Oh, I am looking forward to that. The B. Rimuru, POV. Once I returned, I was greeted by the entire town greeting me while kneeling. I instantly knew who was responsible for this. Rimuru-sama, it's a relief to see you in good health. From there on I was hugged by Shuna along with being informed about the recent attacks that occurred in the town. I immediately held a meeting to get things cleared. They already guessed that I was behind the red pillars of light connecting the earth and heaven alongside the massive amounts of magical energy radiating from them. After the meeting was over, during which I also took care of the Majoran issue and I also addressed the 3 demonesses. After the brief meeting was over, I went to the labyrinth where Diablo summoned the demons. Ramirez alongside her 2 attendees were also standing behind us after greeting me. After making sure everything was in place and that Seal was recording this event, I told Diablo to begin. Since it's not every day you see an army of demons being summoned capable of destroying just about anything, I wanted to make sure that it was being recorded. I permit you to show yourself. Come now, Diablo ordered. 59 demons appeared right after and knelt down. Behind them were 11,800 more, that swiftly followed suit. Speaking of which, the 59 in front of me were the ones Diablo personally recognized. They indeed had the presence of strong demons. Anyone seeing this definitely either be stupefied, stricken with terror, or in complete awe. This scene was just that crazy. These fellows have great potential. I enlightened them about just how magnificent and amazing Rimuru-sama was, and they ended up crying and begging for the honor and privilege to pledge their loyalties to you. This was why I considered bringing them along. It was at this moment that Diablo spoke again. The demons looked like they wanted to say something, but with their superior right next to them, they didn't dare speak up. They were pretty tame, I mean, probably because a certain someone had threatened them. From now on, we are the loyal servants of Rimuru-sama. We await your commands. The demons simultaneously bowed their heads and pledged their fealty to me, prompting the several thousand demons behind to mirror their actions. The synchronized kneeling of 11,000 demons was quite the sight to behold. Diablo smiled with satisfaction as he nodded, in approval. He will never change, would he? Since the demons were spiritual lifeforms, without physical corpora, their mana would gradually dissipate if they remained in this world. It would be difficult for them to maintain this form for a long time, so it was imperative that we granted them bodies as soon as possible. Of course, the result was a resounding success. After obtaining their bodies, the demons began changing to their preferred forms. They would completely integrate in 2 to 3 days. Since not having names would be troublesome, I started naming them all. All the names I am giving them were thought up during the time period when I was in Ingrasha. Good thing that he warned me in advance. As soon as I finished naming, the archdemons completed their possession. The growth capsules shattered, unable to contain the Yuki that was surging from their bodies. That was to be expected. After all, due to my naming, they had all evolved to demon peers. After nearly 10 hours of naming, I had finally named all the demons from my own magical reserves. Why, you may ask? The reason is simple. My magicules are much more potent and dense as compared to others, except Guy and Diablo. The only reason I think this happened is because they evolved in a race similar to the true dragon race. Diablo and Guy had become Supreme Chaos Spirit, Demon God. And I was Supreme Divine Spirit, Ultimate Slime. Although a subspecies, it's completely unrelated to a slime and has instead joined the true dragon race. I guess whoever is a supreme tier spiritual life form will see their magical reserves becoming more potent and denser, while the total volume amount is also increased greatly. Anyways, enough of that and let's focus on the current situation. I had been mentally bracing myself for the shock, but it was still too much. I was stunned to the point that my mind blanked. I guess demon peers are somewhat common now, was in my mind as I sized up the now evolved demons. We now had 59 demon peers, nearly 400 archdemons, since some of the lesser demons straight up evolved into archdemons along with the remaining 11,000 greater demon. Even the lowest ranking demon surpassed a rank. To be completely honest, this is too much. Welp, no point thinking about it now. I'll just pretend like nothing significant happened. Yep, let's go with that. Even though I will probably be reprimanded once Gazel visits. Rimuru-sama, we would like to offer our utmost thanks for bestowing upon us these beautiful names and this wonderful power. Please allow us to henceforth pledge our loyalties to you. Testarossa vowed on behalf of everyone else present. I nodded, then offered encouraging words like, do your best. With that said, I left and spent the rest of the night happily playing around with Ranga. While Rimuru was naming the demons, Ramirez was busy escaping reality since she recognized the 3 primordial demons now that she has all her memories. The next day before the sunrise, the evacuated people of the Beast Kingdom also arrived, and so that took the majority of my time alongside assigning duties for the demons. By the time evening arrived, I had mostly settled the troubling matters, and now I can take care of the more important matters, that being releasing Veldora. Before long, I was deep inside the sealed cave, the very place where Veldora was being held. I'm bustin' you outta there, Veldora. Wait, Rimuru, you gotta let Ifrit out too. I knew you would say that, so I have a body prepared for him in advance. Goohahaha, I knew that I could rely on you. With the minor things out of the way, I released Veldora. I, the great and venerable Veldora, have returned. Seriously? He said that again? But I sensed something odd about him? On further analysis, I found out that Veldora has gotten stronger. Hey, wait, did you get stronger? I was so shocked that I said that out loud. Kuahahaha, indeed. I have indeed gotten stronger since you last saw me. To sum up how Veldora got stronger was pretty simple. He had apparently taken a few tips from his sister's books and practiced with the help of Seal. The biggest thing that he achieved would be that he can now access Suspended World on his own. You have indeed gotten stronger, Veldora. I saw no harm in that, so I honestly praised him. Kuahahaha, thanks for the praise, Rimuru. So anyways, can you transform into your dragon form and then we will head towards the town so it will be easier to convince the town's folks. Oh, I don't have a problem with that, but first bring back Ifrit. Okay. After which I gave a body to Ifrit and Veldora named him, boosting his powers to the same as Demon Lord Carillon. So our preparations were complete. Now, for the first time in several centuries, Veldora would be unleashed on the outside world. With that out the way, we went outside while Veldora was in his dragon form flaring his aura. We were flying high above, nearly 2 kilometers above the ground. Even though we were flying nearly 2 kilometers above the ground, I knew that Veldora's presence can be felt properly from the ground. While flying at subsonic speeds, we reached the town within a few seconds. As we hovered over the town, we could see the majority of the citizens gathered in the center. After we were right above the people, Veldora transformed into his human form, dropped me midair since he was carrying me in my slime form. Anyways, when he dropped me, I transformed into my human form and dived down. And it was pure chaos. The next day in the morning, Ramirez delivered the news that Clayman was holding a Walpurgis, which I had already been informed about by Rain a few minutes ago. Well, it's good to know that Ramirez is still a good friend. Anyways, now that Veldora is back, I would no longer need to go to the labyrinth to replenish the magicules. It was almost cute seeing Veldora's blushing face when I introduced him to Ramirez. Did he not see her in her true form in the last timeline, or was he so busy that he didn't pay full attention towards her? Anyways, after Ramirez warned me about the Walpurgis, I contacted Guy, since I would have a lot of explaining to do, and having someone like Guy there would help me better explain the complete situation and make it more believable. Guy was in a good enough mood that he agreed about coming here after I send him a message later today. With that out of the way, I called for a meeting to discuss our future plan of action. Thus, I was on my way to our main meeting hall, expecting to meet with Tempest leadership and the 3 lycanthropiers. As I did, my universal spatial detect sniffed out a group of 50 or so people approaching town. They were Fuse, Ellen, Cobble and Guido, along with 50 fighters that he brought along. Before long, our security team had us all face to face. He pushed through his own soldiers to see me, his face grim. It has been much too long, Sir Rimuru. I am only glad that I made it here in time. We have come to satisfy our duty under the terms of the security agreement signed between Bloomond and Tempest, and I feared I was already too late. Even if we lack the time to erect a defensive wall, Fuse feverishly continued, it would be best to build a circle of personnel around the city to beef up our defenses. It doesn't look like Falmouth's main force has arrived yet, but there is no telling when their vanguard troops may reach us. We've passed the date of their war ultimatum, yes? The steely resolve in his eyes seemed clear to me as he said his piece. Ah, Fuzi, one moment. I hated to do it, but I had to stop him, or else we were gonna be here all day. Yes, Sir Rimuru? Did you have a suggestion for our strategy? No, Fuzi. I really appreciate what you've done, but it's all over now. How to put it? Well, to sum up, I kind of killed them all. Them all. Them all? Who? What are you talking about? I mean, the army from Farmus you were talking about? I killed them all? WHWHAAA. Just as I revealed that I sensed that Gazel and Errol have arrived in the town. Oops, here's someone else. And who could it be but? But, Fuse asked, stopping as he heard me mutter. He should have kept going. Once he saw who it was, the Falmouth's army was the last thing on his mind, because standing right there was Gazel Dwargo, king of the dwarves himself. He smiled the moment he spotted me. Ah, Rimuru, nice to see you again. So I hear you've declared yourself a demon lord? Ah, yeah. There's been a lot of stuff going on around here, Gazel, so I figured I'd become a demon lord. Not to make you feel unwelcome or anything, but we were just about to all meet up and discuss our future strategy. Well, perfect. I would be happy to join this conference. It was right about then that Fuse, exhausted and ready to cry, came up to me. Demon Lord. What in heavens is that all about? Sir Rimuru, I find it hard to ignore what you just said, because it sounded very much to me that you have become a demon lord, or something to that effect. He was shaking from head to toe, about ready to pee his pants. If you needed a bathroom, it's down this street and... I do not need a bathroom. I never said anything about a bathroom. This, demon lord. Business. Tell me what you mean by it. Well, I will address that in the meeting, but before that I would like to confirm one thing. Gazel, did you receive a report that the Falmouth army was wiped out by the storm dragon Veldora? After hearing my question, he massaged his temples for a few seconds before replying. Sigh. Vesta did gave me the report. He gave Vester a sidelong glance out the corner of his eye, the silent pressure he emitted almost making his subject collapse to the ground. Good to see that he was with me on this plan. And what about you? I turned around, addressing the well-dressed gentleman at the lead, Archduke of Sarian Errold Grimwald. I am Rimuru Tempest, the leader of the Jura Tempest Federation. I added with my right arm up in the air to greet him. Upon hearing my name, Errold suddenly tensed up, then opened his eyes as wide as he could. You? He bellowed. The demon lord who seduced my daughter. I hope you are prepared to atone for that. After which he received a quick hit from Ellen. So much for that. You always were too overprotective a father, Gazel said once things calmed down. I am not. Errold fired back unapologetically. How can I help it? Ellen is simply too precious to me. Yes, all children are to their parents, but, this is pointless. So did you travel here just to inquire about Ellen? I asked once their bickering was over. I also asked Guy to come in the next 20 minutes. He. No, of course not. As we consider how we should interact with your nation, I wanted a chance to see you with my own eyes. This leader that my daughter seems so fond of. Given the sense of authority you appear to bring to your people, I find it hard to believe you are a slime at all. But still, I feel I have a much more complete picture of your strengths now. Yay, it's also fairly surprising that you were able to pull off your stunt despite being in a homunculus. Oh, you noticed I was using a homunculus? Color me surprised? After that, stealing my resolve, I headed for the meeting hall, ready to MC one of the most important gatherings I and Tempest had ever experienced. In the hall, I found everyone standing upright, awaiting our arrival. All the main power brokers in the event, the three lycanthropiers, Fuse, King Gazel, and Archduke Errold, were shown to their guest seats. Once I took my own at the far end of the hall, everyone else sat down. So let's begin by having our guests introduced. I turned to Shuna, who promptly began reading off names. After the introductions were over, which included the introductions of the Demoness trio, we began. Well, before we begin, I would like to introduce you to a few friends of mine who are also related to this matter. As I said that, with perfect timing, a door appeared in front of the main entrance from which came 4 people. Just behind them was Veldora, whose face was as white as a sheet of paper. Let me introduce them, from the least shocking to the most shocking. I began as I moved right beside them. The 2 maids are Misery and Rain, followed by... I continued as I pointed towards Veldora. This is my little brother Storm Dragon Veldora, on his side is my little sister Frost Dragon Velzard, and my good friend Demon Lord Guy Crimson. Thud 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 thud. Less than master, a total of 10 people have fainted, and among them 1 person has had cardiac arrest. Greater than. The person who had a cardiac arrest must be Fuse, right? Less than, yes. Greater than. I guess we need to take a break. A few minutes later. I am currently sitting in my office with Gazel and Errold. But before coming here, I did revive poor Fusey. After seeing the tension in the hall because of their arrival, Guy and Velzard did at least confirm that they are here to talk. Just getting this out made the tension in the room drop visibly. While Veldora. Yay, let's not talk about him. His face got printed on the floor by Velzard, and I can't put my finger on it, but something was different about her. Anyways, after I declared the break, Velzard and Guy were being taken care by Shuna. She wasn't completely comfortable around them, but she suppressed her unease and served them. After they went away, all the remaining fainted people were also taken care of. And it seemed that there was a unanimous question among them: what is going on? Just WHO, are you Rimuru? So here I am, in my office, Errold trying his hardest to not leave his homunculus, while Gazel was massaging his head because he tried to read through Guy. I mean, someone like Gazel trying to read through Guy and surviving was a feat in its own. Looks like his will is stronger than I thought. Sir Rimuru. It might be a bit rude, but I would like to ask one thing. Errold spoke after stabilizing and gathering his resolve. Go ahead. I spoke in my usual questioning tone. I would like to know this one thing more than anything else. Just who are you? Geez, calm down a bit more first. I joked, seeing that his spirit was almost about to leave the homunculus that he possessed, and then I continued. And regarding your question, I will answer it completely during the meeting, because to explain who or what I am would require me to tell my entire story first, then only it will make sense to you of what I am. I finished as I drank the coffee given to me by Xian, which in all honesty tasted really good, unlike her food. Can't you even give a shortened answer so we would be able to listen to your entire story, or else we would be lost in our own thoughts while you might be going on with some important information? Gazel asked in a pained voice, still not completely recovered from his almost head-splitting headache. Well, I guess that would be better, all things considered. So in short, I am a true dragon. Well, I was initially supposed to be a true dragon, but due to some circumstances I am currently only a subspecies of the true dragon race, which I reached after I got reincarnated as a slime and evolving twice. After I finished, I saw Gazel rubbing his head even harder and Errol also quietly processing the info. The rest of the meeting went relatively similar to the last timeline, except they also asked me question like why did I want to join the ranks of the demon lords despite being a true dragon, which I answered by saying that these types of questions would be answered in the official meeting. After we finished our discussions, we returned back to the main meeting hall where Ramirez had also joined. The reason why Ramirez was attending the meeting was because she sensed Guy's presence and came to check out what was going on. After addressing Ellen's and Fuse's complaints, we finally began the meeting with another 2 hours of delay. So as I said earlier, these guys are here to explain some stuff which you guys would generally deem to be too far-fetched to be the reality. With that out of the way, I should probably begin my explanation. And so I began my explanation, my entire story from the very beginning before the creation of the universe. How my soul shattered in me coming to live hundreds and millions of lives. How I, as Mikami Satoru, possessed the largest amount of my soul and then dying after getting stabbed. Getting reincarnated as a slime while crossing worlds. Befriending Veldora. Creating the Jura Tempest Federation. Me visiting human nations to fulfill Miss Shizu's last wish. Fighting Hinata. Falmouth's invasion. Xian and nearly 100 Tempest citizens dying. Ellen suggesting me to become a demon lord. Me massacring the Falmouth army to awaken as a true demon lord. Reviving the dead citizens alongside Xian. Clayman challenging me and dying a painful death. Forming the Octagram. Fighting Hinata Sakaguchi again and the 7 celestial sages and winning. Forming alliance with the Holy Empire Ruberios. Getting accepted into the Western Council and fighting Mariabel, the granddaughter of the 5 great elders controlling the Western States Council. Then mess that went down with Granbel and the Western Holy Church, Chrono a revival. Guy almost taking action. Then the war with the Empire and the Tempest Federation winning by a landslide, one-sided massacring 940,000 Imperial troops. Velgrand attacking Veldora and Dwargon. Gazel and Hakuro's defeat against Kondo. The Demoness Trio's defeat against Velgrand. Veldora being controlled. Me fighting Veldora and Velgrand and winning basically without a scratch. My men fighting against Rudra's men and winning. Rudra being taken over by his own skill and calling himself Michael. Velzard being controlled by Michael. The beginning of the Tenma War. Leon being controlled by Michael. Leon's continent sinking due to Guy's and Velzard's battle. The Insector and the Cryptid invasion. The Cryptid and Insector forces numbering nearly 9 million in total. The human nations alongside Dwargon and Sarian getting destroyed. The incarnation of Velda, who was the culmination of the negative emotions of Veldanava. The world getting destroyed. Me time travel back and ending Velda alongside the planet which had started crumbling a long time ago, and there being only 4 surviving people in the end who returned back in time to fix everything, but had to go back more than 2,000 years back, since 2,000 years was the limit on how far back Chloe could go back in time, and Velda had somehow sealed the timeline so Chloe couldn't go back. Let's say Chloe can only travel 2,000 years back and Velda had sealed the timeline for more than 2,000 years. So here we are. Me, Diablo, Guy and the hero who sealed Veldora were the only survivors of previous timeline. Although the hero who defeated Veldora, also known as Chloe, is not here currently. I said as I pointed to the respective person. All of them were dead silent, probably processing the story. As unrealistic it may seem coming from your mouth, I can't help but believe it because Lord Guy and the primordial Diablo is also telling me that it's true. Gazel said, breaking the silence. Man, do I seem that unreliable to you? I jokingly said. No, it's not like that, it's just so hard to believe. In that case I can also show you my memories. You should have shown them your memories from the start, Rimuru, Guy comments. Well, when you have so many abilities that it's difficult to even count them all, you do tend to forget some small stuff here and there. I honestly admitted my mistake. Well, that aside, I will show you my memories now. 10 minutes later, so it was all true. I still have a hard time believing all that, but it's the truth. OMG, so powerful. It truly does seem like Battle of Gods. No wonder the world got destroyed. It's just foolish to fight against those monstrosities. There is no chance of running either. These were the comments being thrown around. Okay, silence. Seeing the commotion, Testarossa, who was appointed as the mediator, silenced the hall. She also had an expression which conveyed slight sadness and disappointment. Knowing her, she's probably sad about her not being able to survive and disappointed in not being powerful enough. Every one of my subordinates has this exact gloomy and disappointed expression. Especially Xian. She was definitely blaming herself right now. Before they could take their self-blame any further, I decided to console them a bit. You guys, no need to be disappointed in not being able to survive. This time I will make sure that you survive. I will personally whip you into shape for that, just like I have been doing until now. And everyone of Rimuru's executive is present there. Hearing that declaration, a shiver definitely went up everyone's spine. This was especially true for Rimuru's subordinates, since they were being rigorously trained by Rimuru every day. In terms of raw power without ultimate skills, they had long surpassed their counterparts from previous timeline. Though their counterparts from previous timeline would still win due to their awakening and ultimate skills. It wouldn't be too far-fetched to say that they could take on an ultimate skill holder in a one-on-one duel and put up a good fight. They might even win if luck was with them. Almost all the subordinates were also reaching close to their existence values from previous timeline without being awakened. That alone is a testament to how gruesome Rimuru's training was. Rizul too had been guarding the west from demon invasions for over 1,000 years, could outmatch Zijin in terms of pure combat prowess and exceeds Benimaru, who has the highest present existence value of 3.8 million. Anyways, after reassuring them, they somewhat returned back to their previous selves, but they had a burning ambition in their eyes to get stronger for their lord. Unknown to them, their hearts had already started to begin the crystallization of powers and desire. To achieve much more. To never disappoint their lord. To be of his help. To stand by his side. This crystallization of power would help them achieve powers truly terrifying. Powers enough to be called a god. The rest of the meeting went pretty smoothly. I got what I wanted. That being full cooperation from Dwargon and Sarian. By the time we were over, it was already night time, so we did the only right thing and went to the hot springs. But why'd I have to bath with these old geezers? I should have been on the other side, floating among gorgeous beauties. Anyway, now is not the time to worry about these things, so I asked Guy about Velzard's situation. Yo Guy, what's up with Velzard? She seems a bit odd to me. To which Guy raised his brow, indicating, you noticed? Ah well, it would come out sooner or later anyway. So about your question, Velzard's pregnant. Ah okay, wait, what?